What's going on, everyone? So, reports came out that the Lakers are linked to two centers that are realistic targets for the Lakers as they look to kind of fill their center position, right? They not only need a clear-cut starting level center, they also need a primary backup center. I don't mind if you want to go kind of like the development route and all that stuff, right? 55th pick, you want to go get a type of center. But more likely than not, that guy is probably not going to be ready to play any significant role, right? Never know. Never want to put a ceiling or a cap on a young player coming in. Never know how they're going to perform, how they're going to produce. But chances are, if you're getting a development big, they're that. Development bigs, right? So if they're your third center, that would be great. That would be fine, right? Or, if you wanted to bring in a Christian Coloco or something like that. Personally, I want a clear-cut starting caliber center, and then also give me a clear-cut backup center. And two of the centers that have been linked to the Lakers recently was Luke Kornet, who I did a whole video on. Go check out that video after this video, of course. And then one that I've heard many of you throw out as a potential center, and that is Goga Bitadze, right? He is a guy that can come in, slot in, play your center position. He's a guy 6'11", 250, right? Luke Kornet, another guy 7'1", 250. Now, Kornet's a guy that I like more in a backup role. I'd be totally okay if the Lakers were to land both of them. But personally, I look at Kornet as a backup center, where I think Goga is a guy that can come in and actually be your starting center. He's young, he's 25 years old, right? So he kind of fits that mold of what the Lakers are looking for. He will be 26 in about a month and a half now, in July 20th. So point is, he's still young enough to be a foundation piece for the Lakers moving forward. Right, he's been very good for the Orlando Magic. He's a guy that easily could come in, slot in, fill that starting role. He's got the athleticism, can be the lob threat, can create a little bit for himself, which is another thing that's really good. Guy that just, again, gives you quality production. Next season, he'll be owed $7.6 million. So he's cheap enough, to go and trade for without breaking the bank, right? You could go and land a Goga and not have to sell the farm in order to go and acquire him, at least as far as players go. Question becomes, what does Orlando want in a potential trade for him? But again, he's young enough and talented enough to where there is an argument to be made. Like, if you had to give up some assets, some real assets for him, could make some sense, right? And you could solve your center position. So you could look at a Goga and go and trade for him, and then bring in a Luke Kornet in a backup role, right? And have that versatility. But you look at a guy like Goga, he's a guy that, again, on paper and from what we've seen with Orlando, would be ideal slotted alongside a Luka Doncic. Right, he's a guy that can run the floor, right? He's a guy that has some athleticism to be that lob threat, be that athletic player that the Lakers would need at the center spot. He's got good strength, good size, good physicality, can do, a little bit of everything out there on the basketball court. He's even shown the ability to stretch the floor slightly and knock down the occasional three. Not a guy you want taking threes, right? I want to make that clear. He's not a guy that's like, oh man, that's our floor spacer. Who needs Miles Turner or Karl Anthony Towns? You got Goga. Not like that, but he is a guy that has shown the ability, and with maybe some continued development and improvement, maybe he can be a reliable three-point shooter. Right now for his career, he's a career 23% three-point shooter. Now it's on less than one attempt, 0.8 attempts. But again, a guy that has shown the ability doesn't mean that he's a guy that you want regular, right? Also, reps could be a real thing. Like, you'll see some guys where they'll get like half an attempt, or less than a full attempt, and then they'll get like 2 or 3 attempts, and they're actually 33% instead of 23%, right? Which is still not great, but for the center position is solid. And it's they just needed the reps, right? It's hard to kind of get into a rhythm from a particular, spot from 3-point range when you're only getting, an attempt on occasion here and there. Just something to kind of keep in mind, right? Again, I personally wouldn't want to give him the green light to just, take 5 threes a game or anything like that. On the occasional, leak out, where, kick out, LeBron's driving to the rim, you're spreading him out, he's wide open, into shot clock, take the shot, right? Like something like that, sure, fine, okay. But just wanted to kind of bring that up. But you look at the production that he gave Orlando last year. 70 games played, 42 games started, 20.4 minutes per game. The other good thing too about Orlando is they have like an abundance of big men, right? Like they have so many that like they're going to have to make some decisions on guys sooner or later. And Goga's going into a contract year, so they're going to have to make some decisions on him. Like, are they going to start? Are they going to pay him? Like what's going to happen here, right? So it could be in the Lakers' interest to maybe go, end up landing a center. Lakers have a history of landing Orlando centers with Shaquille and Dwight, right? So, maybe Goga is that next in that lineage, the next in that line, right? Of great Orlando centers that end up going to the Lakers. I mean, obviously Goga isn't to the level that, Shaq and Dwight Howard was, but given a real opportunity to play real starting level minutes in a real starting level role, who knows? Maybe he's a guy that really can. I'm not saying to the level of Shaq or Dwight Howard, but maybe can be a real quality type of center. So again, you look at him, 20.4 minutes per game. He shot 61.1% from the field on 4.8 attempts. 3-point range last season, 11% on 0.4 attempts. Again, not a guy. We talked about the 3-point thing. 2-point range, 65.6% on 4.4 attempts. EFG of 61.5%. Free throw shooting. He's a career 66% free throw shooter. Last year, he was 64%. From the foul line on 1.9 attempts. So definitely would like to see him kind of pick that up. He's not like abysmal, you look at like a Mitchell Robinson or something like that, where they're like 40% or like 50%, but still not great. Not a guy that you want into the game taking free throws, right? Rebounding, right? 6.6 rebounds per game, including 2.4 offensive rebounds. Again, this is in 20 minutes of action, so he's giving you 6.6 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and 1.5 blocks with 7.2 points. So right now, 20 minutes of action, he is basically a 7.7 rebound, 2 assists, steal, and 1.5 blocks per game. Now, that alone, I think, would be great for the Lakers in, starting role, backup role, whatever. Obviously, depends on how many minutes he gets. Also, I think Luka really helps kind of aid him and just, it makes things a lot easier on him scoring the basketball, right? It's something I've talked about with all these potential centers and stuff that are linked to the Lakers is that, if a guy is giving you 8 points per game or 7 points per game, he's probably giving you 11. He's probably giving you 4 more points a game minimum, just because he's going to be playing alongside Luka. To think that, Luka, who's actively looking for that lob threat every possession, isn't going to get, 1 or 2 more baskets a game just because Luka's constantly having that on his mental doesn't, I just think would be silly, right? So that's something we got to keep in mind too, is that when you look at a guy's offensive production, I do think it's fair to tack on, a basket or 2. Obviously you never know, sky's the limit, but realistically you could tack on a basket or 2 and maybe see what that kind of production. But if you look at his per 36, right, doesn't tell the whole story, doesn't tell you every little detail, but it kind of gives you an idea of what would he look like in a full-time starting role, right? Projected numbers, again, variations matter, but he would be a 13 point, 12 rebound, including 4.2 offensive rebounds, 3.5 assists, 1.5 steals, and 2.5 blocks per game. That would be phenomenal, right? The points, and to be honest, all of this I don't think is unrealistic. Because again, in 20 minutes of action, he's giving you just under 6-7 rebounds per game. The points, again, Luka's probably given him another basket or 2, so he's probably getting at least, he's probably bare minimum 12 and 8 guy, right? I think minimum. but it'd be more the defense, right? It'd be the defensive versatility, his shot blocking, his ability to get steals, defend in space, moves his feet, he's got some athleticism, right? So again, he's a guy that I think would make a ton of sense for the Lakers, would be great to acquire. Obviously, cost is everything, right? Lakers also got to keep in mind he's going to be due a new contract soon. So, like, what are they going to be willing to give up? What are they going to be willing to pay him? You know, I imagine he's not going to want $6-7 million again on his next contract. So, can you get him, 4 years, 60 million, something like that. Maybe as like, hey, like you're going to be our full-time starter, right? We're trying to have the flexibility. You know, you haven't gotten paid that opportunity. You haven't had that role, but we're willing to take the chance on you type. You know what I mean? Like to where maybe you can convince him to sign a new extension and then kind of go that route and save yourself some money on the long-term center position. Again, he's still young enough to be a foundation piece for now and the future. Right, go get that other quality backup. Again, it could be a Luke Cornett or something, or maybe get a more veteran center, Clint Capella or something to come off the bench. Either way, let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot as we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.